Hey everybody, welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts 3 news update, and surprisingly, we have another video worth of news to talk about and some discussion to have. I didn't think it was going to be able to happen, but early this morning, we received some interesting stuff, so let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about are these character renders that were just released by Square alongside some direct feed screenshots of the game. And it shows off the various characters you would expect: Sora, Donald, Goofy in their Monsters, Inc. look, as well as Mike and Sully. And then we have King Mickey sporting his new outfit, as well as, I feel like, the most interesting one, Riku sporting his new outfit and new Keyblade. As you saw from the previous trailers, the Way to Dawn, Riku's normal Keyblade, has broken, which means he was going to have to get himself a new one. I was thinking that maybe he would get Mickey's old Keyblade, the Kingdom Key D, which would really work as a unit with Sora. But as it turns out, he gets his own heavy car key looking Keyblade, and it looks pretty good. I like the weight that it gives off, and I think it looks really nice. And seeing a high quality render of what his character model looks like, it just comes off looking real clean. And I'm warming up a little bit to his short haircut, and I'm someone who really didn't like it for the longest time. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about is the structure of the game, how the game's going to start, and how the first few worlds are going to pan out. We had learned some of this back in 2017 from an interview with Nomura, but now we have a bit more information thanks to a Famitsu article that went out yesterday. Specifically, to start from the very beginning, the game is supposed to start with an intro that gets us right into the game. They said that Twilight Town is going to serve as the game's tutorial, and then of course we are going to be heading to the first world in the game, Olympus Coliseum, and doing all of that. What they've also recently confirmed, this is the big new news, is that both Toy Story and Monsters, Inc. will be early game worlds, whereas Tangled is going to be one of the worlds we see toward the middle of the game. This puts a lot of different things in perspective. It lets you get this flow of, oh, the game's probably going to start with the intro, then we're going to have some stuff in Twilight Town, learning the basic controls, then we are going to be going to the mysterious tower, learning about what we have to do and all that good stuff. Then we're heading to Olympus, and then we're dealing with that, probably getting our brand new outfit, potentially, going off how 0.2 ended. Then we're going to be jumping right into either Toy Story or Monsters, Inc., and then we'll do the whichever one we didn't do next. So we have a good idea of what the structure of the game is going to look like there, and it's interesting. Also, the fact that that means that we meet Marluxia for the first time, for example, toward the middle of the game, and I'm questioning some of the way he's saying certain things in the recent trailer of whether or not he's a part of this new organization, because he says he's with the only organization. Also, him specifically calling himself Marluxia and not what his somebody name would be, Lorium, also raises a few red flags, but that's something for another video. This is very interesting to start learning about what the game's structure is going to be, when we're going to be doing stuff. If I had to predict anything, it would be that Big Hero 6 is a world that we will probably be venturing into toward the end of the game, if only because that's the last world they started working on back in 2015 at Disney's request. Now, something I want to spend a little bit of time talking about is something that I talked about in the previous video, the previous Kingdom Hearts 3 news update, and it's something that has people concerned, and I knew it was going to concern people, and I forgot to really dive into it that much in the previous video. It's about the progress of development. Nomura specifically split the game up, or described the game being split up into 3 sections: early, middle, and late game. And in each of them, except for the last one, he said how far along they are in percentages, saying that the early stuff is about 90% done. That's stuff like Toy Story, Monsters, Inc., and Hercules. And then said that the middle game, stuff like Tangled, is 60% done, and then he didn't say anything about the last one. The problem here is that people are worried, saying, how is the middle content 60% done? And if we go by that, if the 60% done only in the middle, that means that the late game stuff's like 30% done if we go by that. Now, here's what you need to understand, and it's totally cool that not everyone knows about this kind of stuff, because most of us just consume trailers and that's the end of it. With game development, they do not go in order. They do not go, alright, we're making this game. Alright, we're going through level 1, and then maybe they go a little bit ahead. Everyone's working everywhere to try and, like, get stuff done. They have hundreds of people working on this game, and have been working on this game for close to 5 years now. First of all, you definitely need to ignore percentages. Whenever a Japanese developer decides to describe the progress on their game in a percentage done, it's always been bullshit. It never makes any sense. They'll say something like, it's about 70% done, and then 2.5 months later, even though the game took like 3 years to make, oh yeah, we got to 100%, we did it. It's ridiculous, it makes no sense. They're just kind of throwing some shit out there like, it's like this, and it'll get done. Another thing you have to realize is once they have people finishing up early segments, or any segment in general, those same people don't leave. They then go and start working on something else that isn't done. And then that means more people are working on the problem areas, and then the whole thing gets done faster and faster. And then you have to think about marketing. When you're marketing a game, what you need to do is you can't show everything immediately. It's like, why didn't they show Rapunzel? Or why didn't they show some of these areas? Why did we have a 2-year gap from 2015 to 2017 of Kingdom Hearts 3 content? Why did that happen? The reason? They planned on putting this game out and finishing it in 2018. Which meant that, okay, in late 2017, they started showing stuff again saying, okay, we have enough content and interesting things to reveal at an okay rate starting now. If they do it too early, like, they're not going to have anything new and exciting to show. They can't really make that many headlines. So, say they showed Toy Story Monsters, Inc. like in 2016. In 2018, well, they wouldn't have that much left to show, and people wouldn't be as interested. So, they have to play a very, very careful game of picking when they are going to show certain things, both making sure that they're polished enough to where you're willing to look at them and go, oh man, this looks great, but also making sure that they can continue to fill your feeds with content until that release date sometime this year. And that's another thing you need to bear in mind. But when it comes to the development percentages they put out, just ignore it. It's nonsense. It's complete bullshit. I have seen so many of those in the past, like Final Fantasy 13 when that game got announced. They showed like screenshots and stuff of the game running fine, like riding chocobos, doing all kinds of stuff, and it looked really good. It had a decent amount of polish on it, and they said, yeah, the game's 3% done. And we're like, what the fuck? What? It never makes sense. It never makes sense, so ignore that. Look at what they put out. Think about how much content's basically in the game based on what they said, and the frequency that they're putting stuff out, and go by that. It's better to do that than based on their weird math that they said at random during a Japanese event. That's what I wanted to say on that. Anyway, to wrap up the brand new news we've gotten, we now know the structure of Kingdom Hearts 3. It's going to be starting up with the first 3 worlds being Olympus, Toy Story, and Monsters, Inc. We don't know the exact order of the second and third world, but we'll get a better idea once the game's a little bit closer to release, once the big E3 blowout comes through. We have a bunch of new character renders of the various characters, as well as Riku's brand new Keyblade, and I wanted to make sure to let you guys know about some of the development progress and why you shouldn't be worried if you happen to be. Anyway, that's going to be it. Any questions or comments, leave them down below. What do you think of these character renders? What do you think of Riku's new Keyblade look and design? Personally, I really like it. I like he's going with the plaid, like, checkerboard look with a lot of the characters' new outfits. And I think his key looks cool. I think it's a decent change and bit of a progression when you think about his character being tied to the darkness. Having it not represented at all in his new key is refreshing. That being said, thank you so much for watching this Kingdom Hearts 3 news update. I'll see you next time.